on his tech success, he learned to fly. I did it the non-girly approach. I flew before I teched. This is June 25th, 1968. There's several things wrong with this picture. One is the wing is on fire, and the helicopter said it went from there to the tail plus 40 feet.
Wow.
This is me. And plus there's no main gear here at Tainin, RVN.
Is that how you usually land it?
It felt like it, but actually usually it was better. And we have no nose gear down. It's about to contact. And we've gotten shot up a couple miles from Cambodia. It was actually a lot of fun being a 25-year-old airlift pilot in Vietnam. Not like being out in the jungle for 3 weeks, because my view was that you couldn't get PTSD if every day ended with a hot shower and a cold cocktail. And I believe that's true.
Scientifically proven.
Yeah. I'm going to try to move through this faster. I got a lot of stuff in here. And I'm going to tell you what's possible, and it'll be a little bit like talking about voice over network when Jeff first got involved. It seemed impossible. But this stuff is speeds and feeds, and we're ready to do stuff. Okay, so we are about to have blockchain-based open source constituent identity. I call it VNS, voter naming system, but without, by masking. Okay, we'll talk about what that means. The problem also, or the opportunity, is created by the parties have become like newspapers in 2016. They've lost all their readers. And there's no reason to go there anymore. John Bosak, he was a chairman of the XML steering committee, said XML gives Java something to do. Okay, masked constituent identity gives social something to do, and bots something to do. And also, as Jose de Castro said yesterday, this is the fourth industrial revenue, and great young guy, says he's done 3 startups, something like that, probably because he always says, let's get started. Okay. We look at politics and we look at governance, we say these are black boxes, they're impenetrable. They aren't. This is the policy development industry. It's an industry like any other. We in the web business disrupt industries before coffee. If we can see politics and governance and regulation, this whole black box, as simply another industry that is ripe for disintermediation, we're on the right track. And then we just do what we normally do. The tools we always use, if we apply them here, will win. All right? This is a quote from white paper. The supply side of the policy development B2B market comprises 535 vendors who offer rent-free on Capitol Hill and ignore the landlords. Uniquely in industry, this special class of vendors is forced to endure a full-on proxy battle every 2 or 6 years. What vendors would do that? These people are really exposed to what we want. All right, the structural issues is that the presumption in their infrastructure is there are 2 parties and one is ascendant. The Capitol building has these 2 lights, these 2 rotundas, okay? One is lit up all the time at night. That's because the Republicans are in power when this is taken, okay? This is a 2-party system. It is not open to anything else. Why do we have 700,000 plus people as the constituents for a congressman? Is because there's only 435 congressmen. Why is that? Because there's 435 seats. We couldn't have more congressmen, we only have 435 seats. This is so bass backwards, it's unbelievable. So, but we can change it. Okay, the idea here is, you may know Phil Windley, all the credentials you would need, probably my biggest tech advisor. It sounds arcane, but it's not going to be. Blockchain masked voter naming system allows us, for the first time in history, to have political constituent power without exposing my real name and address. In the age of Gamergate and dudes packing heat to town halls, I don't necessarily want to expose my name and address. So we can do all these things. The problem is where and how. Okay. And this, all right. Social is, oh, that's good. I'm good at this. Okay. Social is affection-based. Discord is not discourse. The whole political party system has convinced everybody you have to argue in order to make a point. But the parties have lost their sway. And we can teach ourselves and our friends how to do this. So why not form fan clubs online Okay, friends, allies, and neighbors. I want to point out that neighbors are not necessarily your friends, but the point is that we can have a conversation, and if you form a fan club around your politician, they're going to pay attention. Okay, the agreement will lead us to crowdsource policy, and we'll have a reason to re-elect you. Again, the problem is where and how. There's a lot of platitudes around this idea. Oh, we can change government. Yeah, but what do I do tomorrow that I can actually do? This is great.
Now it froze again.
I'm sorry?
Tap on the left column.
Whoa.
Hello.
And tap on
There you go.
Okay. All right. So this is a little busy, but the idea here is my daughter and two wonderful grandkids live in San Jose, right out here. I'm not necessarily interested in having everybody in the world know where they live, all right? But a trusted identity process can view their address without exposing it, resolve that to a latitude and longitude, compare that latitude and longitude to all of the political jurisdictions of the United States, and you discover that this is a Venn polygon. It's the overlap of all these jurisdictions. And that takes a moment to do. We've mapped all the jurisdictions. There's about 51,238 of them, the United States and the state down the Unified School District. And we have mapped 540,185 power zones, which is these imaginary polygons. It's just faster for us to do that. But what's interesting is that it resolves to a string we can use, or we can get more detailed. This is the power zone for California, 19th Congressional District, 15th State Senate District, 27th State Assembly District. This is the census.gov code for San Jose and 3rd Congressional District. Knowing all those things and the counties involved in those, these are the people who work for this district. Now, do you believe that they care? They care immensely. Okay, the solution now is crowdsource a solution. In other words, subject matter experts get together, they say, okay, let's start with this. Okay, so they put out some general things, use the GitHub API, and start iterating. And you end up with a law out of that process. Using the GitHub API, and it's right there in the GitHub API. People are already drafting laws, but you have to go to GitHub. Using the API, you can just do it in groups. Okay, and then you draft the fixers. The fixers are the people who live in that jurisdiction. So, okay, you have 2 senators and 1 congressman. On some issue on which one of your politicians, let's say, is the chairman or ranking member of a committee, you have probably 500 times as much influence over that committee's business as the average voter. So if I care, if it's immigration, if I care about immigration, and my system knows, walks my social graph and says, hey, I know you care about immigration as I do, but did you know you have 500 times the power I do? Would you be the tip of our spear? All right. And so by finding those people, it's just a straightforward workflow, but it's an invitation. I think if I found out I had 500 times the info, I'm likely to click the link. Okay? So here are all these individuals who you can target the people, the representatives who actually drive something through a committee. Okay? This has been done many times. They really value constituents. They don't hear from constituents. A politician is like the beautiful girl in high school. Nobody calls her date because they assume she's going with a team captain. Okay? All right, gesture-based constituent power. Don't ask somebody to do something they don't already do. Okay? If we know somebody's power zone or whatever code you want to use, the magic string, we now know who they have influence over. Okay? If we know that and they happen to use an issue tag, this is a real screenshot. We can capture that coincidence of geography and hashtag and start putting icons up on the politician's map. And then you can drill down from there. You can use that to send a fax to notify the politician. You can send a postcard, a FedEx package. There's a mechanism now to route around their web forms, because none of these people have emails, because they don't want to hear from you. But Sunlight Foundation has put together a way to run that. And a lot of other, this is a cascade. Now, if you add these things up, suddenly the politicians say, what is going on out there? And they can't control it through their memory hole because we're publishing this as the agency, not us. Anybody can use these tools, all right? We happen to have a solution, but that doesn't mean that's the only solution. Anybody can use these tools, and that's what we want to promote.
Hey, Fred?
Yes.
So, I've tried to reach congressmen who aren't my guys but are on the committees,
Why bother?
and I've discovered, well, besides the why bother, I've discovered that there was one universal website built that they all use, where I'm not allowed to reach them because I'm not their constituents. Is your workaround solve that problem for me?
Yes.
Okay.
We can talk about that later. There's a lot of follow-up here, but if any of you, all these conversations, have you ever noticed all these conversations, we have to change this, and it's about policy. Now, the secret in social media, too, you cannot imagine how important as a constituent you are to these politicians. So it's interesting that if they know you're a constituent, even though it's just a set of fingers on a keyboard that's been attested to by a trusted third party, they're going to start paying attention to that. And if they see 20 different constituents showing up on their map from gestures you're doing anyway, all right, there is somebody in that office that's pounding on the desk, and we have to pay attention to these people. Okay.
So Britt, let me convert this into what I think it is.
Okay,
So if you're pitching, and V-Engine's not you, it's somebody else?
that's me.
Okay, all right, so V-Engine's comparing it, or you're saying you're gonna sit inside Medium, or you are your own blogging environment?
We just stole the Medium look and feel.
Okay, all right, so you're a Medium clone, right? But what the positioning is that, well, Medium does offer some form of distribution within its world. That's obviously their strategy. You're saying you're gonna bake in this blockchain-based, anonymous, social capability, which that standard of that blockchain stuff could then be used for politics and other kind of things.
Right.
Right? Okay.
To prove you're a constituent without exposing stuff. And this is a demonstration and necessary. Remember that thing about we have this problem. You know, how and where. Okay. Hello.
No.
This is just going lovely.
It must be Trump trying to silence you.
That's a weird one. Did the screen go blank, or did?
It just lost the signal. There it is.
It's back.
They're back.
Oh, see, so you take the microphone
And you bang it.
table. Very good idea.
That's a feature of Medium.
Okay, so this is just a way, we've created a mechanism where you can set up a CNAME. We'll launch in about 30 seconds, maybe a minute, a complete soup to nuts, social networking, buzzword compliant groups engine on your site. Okay, that fast. You turn it off, change your CNAME, you don't want to use it. It's just that fast. Private groups, public groups, as I say, buzzword compliant. Okay, so this is just a setup. You got to name something. You got to have. Okay. And this is just some UI stuff, so you know it's not. I can show you all blah blah blah. Aren't we cool? Okay, but here's the real part. So if Jeff Pulver wants to have political clout, he can set up a CNAME, VON, MON, whatever it wants to be, and point it at this, and now he's got all these tools at von.jeffpulver.com, whatever you want it to be. We own a domain called govadvisors.us just because we want to be cute. But what it means is that we could set up, there's some typos in here, in a minute, fda.govadvisors.us. There are people in the Valley who care about the FDA. Elizabeth Holmes comes to mind. fcc.govadvisors.us. If I want to do the Pulver order now, I'd want to do that. And then I would get all those constituents involved, and I believe that's straightforward. Immigration's a big deal in the Valley, often for the wrong reasons. Sir?
Are your users, the anonymized users, are they global to the API, or are they specific to the site deployment?
Well, if
I sign up anonymously on Jeff's CNAME,
Yeah, pseudonymously, yeah, right.
And then will my anonymized ID show up on fcc.vengine.io?
If that's where you signed up, yes.
No, I mean, if I sign up on,
Oh,
okay, in
no,
one
no, no,
domain,
the-
will it show up in
yeah,
another?
no.
Or do I need to sign up?
No, we haven't done
Repeatedly go-
federation yet. We might discover that's smart. There's a lot of building out that wants to happen. We're just basically providing a context for it.
What's the business model? You're gonna charge them monthly for someone like us to put it in my legal platform? Pay a monthly
Boy,
fee?
I wish I'd figured that. You think after 10, you know, we got over 7 years and 7 figures in this, and for our family, it's a lot of money. But it appears there are a lot of different hooks around here. If somebody wants to, I would hope in partnership. I mean, really, come on. If you want to do ubervoter.us, okay? Remember somebody reached out to me? Why not be like an Uber? Okay, I'm a constituent, I'm going out of my way to do something, and I'd rather compete with somebody making $1,500 an hour than 15 bucks. Okay, I think that's perfectly okay, and we have a way to get away from the nasty part of that. We're out of focus, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say that anyway, so. Go ahead.
So I come from Iceland, and 2 years ago we did a big social experiment. We actually tried to crowdsource our next constitution, not basically our constitution. And we did it, you know, getting all kinds of people involved. You could, you know, suggest things. We were randomly selected into a big kind of event where, you know, people took different parts of the constitutions and tried to come up with a set of new things to focus on. Then, you know, we had a special council created to kind of come up with the final draft, and that got submitted to our parliament. And, you know, you Google crowdsourcing constitution, you get all kinds of beautiful, beautiful news about it that the international media covered. What none of them tell you is that in the last year and a half, nothing happened. Why? Because the politicians were influenced by lobbyists, not by voters, to not make those changes. And, you know, it was stopped by the ones who were not, you know, ones had always stopped the important changes that need to happen, which is those that would lose money on this.
Sure.
So how do you think, you know, what you're doing, yes, it's great that I as a voter, you know, voter can influence your senator, but do we really have a pull, or does the, you know, the paid lobbyists in DC really have the power to always stop what we, the people, think is the right thing?
They've always had the power, but they've never had the granular tools. We have never had the granular tools to assert our proxies, because we're the shareholders of the politician, not the customers. Businesses are the customers, lobbyists are the, you know, madams, and as the shareholders, we haven't been using our proxy. By having pseudonymous constituent verification and then aggregating those people, that makes all the difference in the world. I got a quote on here from Barney Franks. I was in legislative bodies for 40 years. I have never seen a person who will go against his constituents because of money. But if they don't know about it, 1 million people marched against the Iraq War in 2003. No effect on the Hill. Why? They weren't wearing their constituent jackets. They didn't realize that all those people out there, and there was no direct way. We're simply doing a set of workflows and use cases that I don't believe is any more complex than Amazon getting built. I mean, you look at Amazon, it's kind of miraculous when you look at all, I mean, got in PDF comes up when you want to return the thing, you know, and the reviews and all this great stuff. But everything that happens inside there is a small technical triumph, you know, after they tried all the other things that didn't work. And these little technical affordances are all we need. And this, I believe, is easier to hack than the book selling business.
We've got to end, so
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
tell people to talk to you separately because